Okay, to figure out the strategy, we need to see the pieces,
Niana said. The four of us sat on the floor in a circle, while Niana busily typed on her projected keyboard. The Phatic Empire and the Confederation, I said. She snorted.
Those are the players. The pieces, the ones that count, are us. The initiate species. Humans, Ishis, Rorals. Let's see what they look like.
She programmed in some data, and hovering in the air before us, she projected a three-dimensional map of a big chunk of the galaxy, highlighting the Phatic Empire and the Confederation with the locations of our three homeworlds. The two big territories spread out in weird blobs and at sharp angles, looping in and out and spiraling off in different directions, approaching but never touching. The map showed Phatic territory as yellow, Confederation space as green. Earth, Ishi, and Rural homeworlds were all in the black space in between. All three were lodged snugly between borders. Interesting, I said. Can we see Ganar? Niana highlighted it, and we could see it much farther galactically south of Earth. Much farther outside the border territory. It was easily the most distant world from the heart of either the Confederation or the Phatic Empire. Niana bit her lower lip.
Maybe this piece wasn't important, and that's why it was taken out of play.
I don't think so, I said. They tried to destroy us as well.
Unless they didn't,
Misan said. I glowered at her.
I'm not taking their side, she said. But what if they weren't actually looking to destroy the Dependable? What if they were looking to disable the ship and capture us? It's a possibility.
Maybe, I said.
But why? Why would they want us alive and the Gurnari dead? Let's consider what was said at your hearing,
Charles said.
The Phatic ambassador claimed that our worlds were chosen not because they are good fits for the Confederation, but because we are violent species, which perhaps the Confederation needs.
What do we know about Ganar? I said. Are they bloodthirsty barbarians like us, or more chill?
Looking it up, Misan said, tapping her data bracelet to call up her own keyboard. You guys keep going. If we are a more violent species than the Confederation norm, said Charles, and our worlds are in space between the two sides, doesn't that suggest we are more apt to be annexed by the Fads than the Confederation?
So the Confederation grabbed us first, I said. They wanted tougher citizens to help balance the scales. Maybe use us as cannon fodder since we're on the border. Charles nodded.
It does make sense. Yeah, it does, Misan said. According to what I'm reading about the Gennari, they're omnivores and complex thinkers. They have their history of war, but no worse than the rest of us. For most of their history. Then, a few hundred years ago, during their industrial age, all major global violence ended. They started resolving conflicts with a series of extremely intricate strategy games. As a result, their national leaders are selected for their intelligence and insight. So, they're more of a traditional pick, Niana said. But a tactical one as well. They could be of real use in helping the Confederation choose a strategy, so the Fads take the Ganar out of play. They keep the rest of us because they think we're not as smart and they can recruit us to their side. So maybe they were going to capture us, to convince us to defect. Then Zeke destroyed their ship, Charles said, and they replaced their strategy with a need for revenge. It's not very intelligent. It might be cultural, Misan suggested. Maybe honor and revenge are just very important to them.
We are talking about beings who hurl in public to make a point, I said. Niana sighed.
We're still just looking at pawns. There are too many players we haven't seen yet, Charles observed.
Niana looked up smugly.
Maybe we can't see them, because they've been captured.
The selection committee! I nearly shouted. She was onto something.
Yeah, she agreed. Think about it. They've been captured, but they're still in play. Visium tried to use them as a bargaining chip at your hearing, and that's where all of this begins. The committee picked our planets. They had a grand strategy in mind. But we don't know what that is,
Charles said.
What can we find out about them?
I cleared my throat. I have it on good authority that the Confederation has buried their service files. They can't even be hacked.
Good authority?
Nyana said with a sneer.
What, your pet kitty? Nyana,
Misan said.
Remember, we're all on the same side now.
Sorry, she muttered.
It's just who I am.
Yeah, don't be who you are in front of Tamrat, I said. It might be harmful to your health. She rolled her eyes.
Your girlfriend's hacking skills aside, did you ever consider that you don't always have to break the law? The government service files may be hidden, but there's info on these people in the public domain. Interviews, biographies, public writings, media appearances. Did you look at any of that?
No, I admitted, feeling a little foolish. I'd been so dispirited at the thought of what was being kept from us, I hadn't even bothered to look at what was readily available. She tapped on the data bracelet for a second, and then looked up, grinning. Like she'd stumbled on a secret stash of goodies or something.
You know what? I think we're on the right track.
Why? I asked.
Because,
she said,
I just leveled up.
We stood looking over Nyana's shoulder as she began scrolling through data on the selection committee members. I thought that even if she was right and we were onto something, we weren't going to make any huge discoveries tonight. There were 5 members of the committee, and they all had long records of public service, most of the context of which was totally unscrutable to us. Doug Sir Yikik E had spent 4 years as a chair being of the Ramirian Lower Educational Reform Council. But so what? That was an impressive position, or a laughable one? Influential, or pointless? None of it meant anything to us. I could tell that Nyana was growing frustrated too. She read through a lot of data on Mr. and Mrs. or whatever E, but the second member got much more of a cursory glance.
Maybe we should get Dr. Rupin on this,
Misan suggested.
That might be a bad idea,
Nyana conceded.
Assuming we can even trust him.
I hadn't told them what we discovered about Dr. Rup, and I still didn't know if I wanted to. I remained silent while Nyana summoned up the images of the third committee member. He was a big guy, muscular and humanoid, looking different from an Earthman only in minor details. He had green skin and a large protruding brow, the same as Halu. In the picture, he stood, looking into camera or image taker or whatever, arms crossed. He wore a theatrical cape with a high collar. He wore no shirt, but there were 2 red bands crossing his muscular chest. Nyana must have seen me staring.
Yeah, I noticed him too,
she said.
That's some idiotic get-up, right? He's an Yanoyan, like your data collector friend, but that doesn't look like a Yanoyan name. They always have a lot of repeated sounds, but they're usually a lot longer. Maybe he's a convert,
Charles said.
I read of this beings who transform their appearance to look like members of other species.
Yeah, I said, my voice distant. I was thinking that too. I looked at his face, and I looked at his name. I had no doubt he was a convert. A convert was exactly what he had to be. I sat down next to Nyana.
Not so close.
She shoved me, but I ignored her. What I saw on the screen made everything else insignificant. The numbers on the bottom of my HUD were rolling upward at a dizzying speed as the system struggled to keep up with the torrent of experience points. It was like I'd hit the bonus level on an old-school video game. The only time I'd ever racked up so many points this quickly was when I'd saved the dependable from the saucer. I was going to gain a whole bunch of levels, but I really didn't care about that.
Hey, I'm suddenly gaining a lot of experience points, said Misan. So am I, Charles said. I think we hit onto something.
Their words were just a distant noise, though. Almost like they were speaking a language I didn't understand. It was one of those moments that everything comes together, or maybe it was one of those moments when nothing comes together and you realize just how little you actually know. I wasn't sure which, but I knew this was one of the most important moments of my life. And it was coming from a guy who'd already gone into outer space. I looked at Charles. He had the most influence in the trio, and he was the one whose loyalty I had to make sure of, because the others would follow him. You said you regretted how you've treated me, I told him. Did you mean it?
I just picked up 2 levels, Charles said. Whatever's going on, it's important, and I am with you.
But do you trust me? I demanded. He considered for a moment. Yes, he told me, his voice solemn.
Maybe,
Misan said.
Trust isn't really my thing,
Niana said. I'm not joking, I said. I saved all your lives on the Dependable, and I've got more levels than any of you. I need to know if you're willing to do something risky, if I can convince you that it's for the right reasons.
I don't understand,
Charles said. I need to confirm some stuff, I said. But you have to tell me if you're in or out right now.
In or out of what?
Niana said irritably. If there's one thing Mrs. Price said that we can believe, it's that Earth is in danger. I don't think us making 80 levels is going to make a difference for Earth if the Phatic Empire and the Confederation decide to fight over our planet.
No,
Charles agreed.
It definitely won't.
Do you want to save our planet from the Fads? He nodded. So you'll follow me?
Doing what?
Misan asked. Breaking a lot of laws, I said. Probably getting our delegation kicked off the station unless we're really lucky, but what I have in mind might just save our world. Are you in?
Yes,
Charles said.
Yeah,
Misan said.
No!
Niana shouted. Then she sighed. After a moment, she said,
Fine, whatever.
Okay, I need to check some things out. Be ready, I said. Then I ran away as quickly as I could. I pounded and pounded on the door. Finally, Theo, Tamrat's roommate, answered. She looked like she'd been sleeping, which made sense because it was pretty late now.
What?
She said. I need Tamrat.
Yeah, we all know that. The whole galaxy saw the picture of you two making lovey eyes like a couple of dopes.
A white hand landed on her shoulder and yanked her back. I heard her crash into something, breaking glass and a loud hissing sound. Tamrat smiled at me.
What do you need?
I pulled her out into the hallway. You told me you could hack into the secret files on the selection committee, I said. Did you mean it? She set her gaze at me.
I can do anything.
Yeah, but can you do this?
Absolutely, she said. It's easy to do, but impossible to conceal. They'll find out, and they can track it to me within a few hours.
I nodded, thinking this through. Can you find out where they're being held prisoner?
The Fad said the Confederation knows, which means it'll be in the system. It means I can find out. But again, they'll know I've been snooping around. What's this about?
I called up the file on my bracelet and showed her the picture. It's about him.
That's one of the committee members, she said. I remember his nutty outfit.
Yeah, I said. I was grinning so hard that my mouth hurt.
So, what's the deal? Who's this Jean Jones?
That's not actually Jean Jones, I told her. Jean Jones is the real name of Martian Manhunter, a core member of the classic Justice League lineup and my favorite comic book character for as long as I can remember.
I don't know what you're talking about. If he's not this John Jones, then who is he?
He's a human, I said. And he's from Earth. He altered his appearance, but his name, that look, it's a flag that only the right person would recognize. And I am that person.
And how does the selection committee member fit into this?
He's the reason why the randoms were chosen, I said. Sussex the Gurnari because she could break into a secure building. You because you can hack, and Steve. It all makes sense now.
I don't understand, she said. Who is this person?
His name is Uriah Reynolds, I told her. He's my father. Tamrat took hold of my hand.
Anything you need, just say it.
I closed my eyes, basking in the warmth of her touch and her willingness to help me. Things might get really bad, I said.
I don't care.
Okay, I said as much to myself as to her. I need to clear my thoughts. Was I really going to go through with all of this? Was I really prepared to risk so much? I have to make sure Steve can do something. If he can, I'll need you to start looking for that prison, and then the clock will be running.
What is Steve supposed to do exactly?
She asked. Exactly what Dr. Root brought him here to do, I told her. He's gonna steal us a spaceship.